Hello everybody, welcome to your video and welcome to another edition of How to Play COD / BO3. In this episode we're going to be looking at spawns. Now this is actually going to be a two-parter, so this first part is going to be, how to learn about the spawns, and then the second part is going to be about how to exploit the spawns and make them, spawn trap and all that jazz. You can get bear kills and that. So yeah, in this first part we're going to be looking at spawns and how you learn them. So I'm not going to go through every single map on the game and tell you exactly what the spawns are, but what I'm going to tell you is how to learn what the spawns are, see where people are without a UAV, and how to predict where people are most likely going to be by balance of probability and all that kind of jazz. I'm going to use Hunted as my example today, and I think the best way to learn spawns and to show you the most clear example would be to play Domination, because it's marked out by flags basically. So I'm just going to jump into this private match and crack on. Okay, so we're in Hunted, we're on the map, there's no bots or anything, it's literally just me on my own. So basically we're just going to take a look at the map quickly. Now every single map has two main spawns. Now each map will always show what those two main spawns are on Domination by showing you which is the C and the A flag. The A flag is always one primary spawn and the C flag is always the other primary spawn. So if we have the C flag here, I might as well just quickly capture it. So what you're going to want to do is, when you load up a map, you're going to want to find out what the two main spawns are. Now, it's pretty clear, because on every game mode you spawn either on one side, which would be, for example, for Hunted, it would be this side, or all the way over by A in that back little bit over there where it sort of ends off on the right there. So what you're going to want to do when you get a new map, you want to be like, okay, shit, how am I going to learn the spawns of this map? Well, what you want to do is you want to get the two main spawns down first. So if you jump into Domination on any map, and the C and the A flag will tell you where the two main spawns are. But then you've also got the B flag, so it's like a backup spawn for in the middle of the game. Now for Domination, the spawns are very much, you spawn on the side of whatever flags you have. So if we were, like we are now, 3-capping, we would spawn anywhere in the entire map pretty much. But if we just had C, and the enemy had B and A, we'd spawn at C. But if we had A and B, then we'd spawn more over this half of the map, and the enemy would spawn at C. It's as simple as that. Now, it does work the same for game modes like TDM and things like that. These will always be the two main spawns, and this will always be the backup spawn. So basically, if we look at the map here, now the enemy team will always spawn wherever you're not. So if you think about this from a TDM perspective, say we had our whole team at A, all 6 of us, they can spawn anywhere from around B to C, anywhere. But obviously there's the question of, because these are the B and A, C and A are the two main spawns. If we had 3 people at C and 3 people at A, they're gonna start spawning around B. Now you can learn the specific. There are specific spots on the map where people will spawn, exact locations where people can spawn, and you can learn those. There's one just back there for A and things like that. You can learn those specific spots that people will spawn in. But yeah, you've basically just got to think of it like that, in terms of the enemy will always spawn wherever you're not, because that's just how it works. You can't constantly be spawning on each other all the time. So when you look at your mini-map on the top left, this is obviously a blown up version, but when you look at your mini-map on the top left, what you want to do is you want to see where your teammates are distributed and think on the map where the enemy is most likely to be. So if the majority of my team, if I'm here mid-map, and I've got 2 people over there, I've got 2 people in the house over there, and I've got 2 people down there, I know for a fact that when the enemy dies, they're going to be spawning in this main spawn, either at A over there, or they're going to come down this side. I know for a fact that that's going to happen, because I know that none of my teammates are over on that side of the map, and this is one of the primary spawns. And vice versa, if I had 2 teammates at Waterfall there, or I had 2 teammates down there, and maybe a couple of teammates in the house, if I just quickly jump through here, they're going to be spawning right at the back on C. Back here. Or back over there, because this is another one of the primary spawns. So obviously if we have teammates at C and A, then they're going to be spawning somewhere around B. Now obviously in Team Deathmatch you don't have the flags, but the same rules apply. If, you can always pretend that the flags are actually there and use them as markers. I mean, sometimes when me and my friends are playing COD, we'll use that as a call out. So if I'm, I'm on this side of the map, I'm like, oh, I'm going to get this spawn trap over here, even though I'm playing TDM and there's no C flag actually there, I know they're going to spawn there because my teammates are over on this side of the map. And then there's no one spawning here. I'm like, what the hell? Jamie might call out to me and say, oh, they flipped, meaning they've flipped over to the A side. And they'll say they're spawning A flag, even though there's no A flag actually there. But I remember that the A flag is there, so I know the A flag is there, and I know that's the A side of the map. So the best way to learn spawns really is just trial and error, playing the maps, and look at C and A on domination on any of the maps as the primary spawns, and B as the backup spawn. So yeah, basically you don't always need a UAV to find out where people are. You can literally use your teammates on the map to find out where the enemy is. So if just look where your teammates are on the mini-map in the top left when you're in the middle of the game, or just pause it if you feel like doing that so you can actually get a better view. And basically just look for wherever your teammates aren't on the map, and that's where the enemy is going to be spawning. Now I'm just going to jump into some real life examples of predicting where the enemy is going to be without a UAV, using the knowledge of the spawns. Okay, so I've just got this gameplay paused right now, this game of Hunted TDM. Now before I set off, usually what I'll do is, as I'm running, I'll be looking at the minimap, deciding on where I think the enemy is going to be most likely. Now I know that I've spawned here on this C side, so naturally I'll assume they're already on the A side. So if I play this right now, so what I'm doing is I'm looking at the map, and I see I've got a lot of my teammates on the left side there, and I've got one on the right. I can see that there is a red dot on that one side of the map, so naturally I'm going to assume that they're facing down this ledge here, down on the bridge. So here's the example of another play. I've just died, and I've just spawned in on the C side once again, so I know for a fact they're going to be on the A side, most likely. Now this teammate down here, just in front, has made the fatal error of looking out this side. He should have realised that our teams are spawning there, and he should be looking out the window, which he did in the end. But I knew that they were going to be on the A side, based on the simple fact of I spawned at C, and most of my teammates were on the C side at the same time. Now see, with this play, I just spawned on the A side, so I'm going to assume they're on the C side. I usually will take a look down the bridge most of the time, but I can see there's no red dots there, so there's probably not too many people spawning, and I thought there's quite an empty gap on that side of the map, so I thought I'd check it. But then I went back and I realised, crap, they're all on the bridge, so I'm going to go exploit the fact that they're all on the bridge right now and try and get some kills. Because you can never predict where the enemy's going to run. Like, even though they might spawn in the empty gap, they might end up running into the more populated gaps. So sometimes you have to take those things into consideration. But balance of probability-wise, they're more likely going to be in the empty gaps of the map more than the populated ones. If you see an empty gap of the map, and none of your teammates are getting kills, you know that they're in that empty gap of the map. And as you can see here, I just start exploiting the fact of this spawn trap here. But yeah, you should also see who your teammates are shooting at as well, because I think the blue arrow shakes or something if they're shooting at someone, so you can pay attention to that. And also, if blue arrows have just disappeared on the map as well, you know that an enemy has just been killed on that bit of the map, so you know that there's an enemy there. So it's constantly just looking at the mini-map, constantly seeing where the empty gaps are, where the most likely people are most likely going to be. And see, look, they just flipped here because most of my team started spawning at C, so I know the fact that they're going to start spawning at A, so I anticipated that flip and went over to the other side of the map there. Now, just taking another map completely, this is the map Havoc. So I've just spawned in halfway through this game. I can see most of my teammates are around the building area, and I know the fact that I've spawned on that side of the map, that the enemy is going to be spawning on this side of the map. And obviously you see there's an enemy there who's just spawned in. You see that fat empty gap in the top left there, so I know that the enemy is going to be spawning there. I've just seen a teammate behind me spawn there, so I know for a fact that they're going to be spawning down here. So yeah guys, it's very much, you just got to look for those empty gaps, pay attention to the minimap. I'm looking at the minimap and maybe every 5 to 10 seconds, it depends. If I'm in an enemy spawn, I'm not going to be looking at the map as much because I'm focusing on getting kills. But when I'm running around teammates and areas that I know the enemy aren't in, I'll keep checking that minimap to see. You want to be looking for if teammates have just been killed, if teammates are shooting at people, where the empty gaps are, where teammates are spawning. You've got to take all these things into consideration. And when you do, when you can look at a map and judge instantly and know where the enemy are and where they're going to be going, without a UAV, it can change your whole game completely. So yeah guys, I hope this video was useful. I hope you learned something from it. Next week is going to be part 2 of spawns, so we're going to be looking at how to create spawn traps, how to not push spawn traps so much, how to keep them there. And yeah, that should be pretty good. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, sub, all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next one.